Good morning or good afternoon. Today we'll be recording a video on Quizette 623. Please make sure you write your last name, comma, your first name. I still have people writing their first name first and their last name second, and then they just put a comma between it thinking it's right. Make sure you write your last name first and then your first name. The date, I don't really care about, and your class color. Today I'll say on purple. All right, number 1 on Monday, it says, a sailboat travels 3 miles in 1.5 hours. So a sailboat travels 3 miles in an hour and a half. Okay, so in 1.5 hours. Okay, the table below shows a distance traveled by the boat at various times. So obviously if the boat isn't traveling, it's not going any farther, so there's 0, 0. Now in terms of time, 1.5 hours represents an hour and 30 minutes, right? So if I were going to do 1 hour, it would be 1.0. And if I were to do half an hour, it would be 0.5 because that's half, right? So half an hour. So that's what these times mean. This means 30 minutes. You can write that. This means 1 hour. It's kind of hard to read, but I just wrote 1 hour. This is 1.5 hours. And so on and so forth. You guys get it. So 2 hours means 2. 2.5, that's 2.5 hours, so on and so forth. So if he travels 3 miles in 1.5 hours, and we divide 3 into 1.5, 3 doesn't go into 1 evenly. 3 does fit into 15. 3 goes into 15 5 times. And then I'm done. So this 0.5 represents our unit rate. So in 1 hour, all right, so I actually wrote the wrong thing here. This is supposed to be for every half a mile. Oh, I'm about to say it wrong. For every half an hour, he went 1 mile. So for every half an hour, he went 1 mile. So if he has 2 half an hours, he has 2 miles. So every 3 half an hours, he gets 3 miles. Then the next one is 4 miles. Then the next one is 5 miles. And the last one is 6 miles. And it makes sense because for every half an hour, he goes 1 mile. So look, half an hour, 1 mile. 1 hour, 2 miles. An hour and a half, 3 miles. 2 hours, 4 miles. 2.5 hours, 5 miles. 3 hours, 6 miles. I feel like I keep saying hours and miles and it's probably confusing everybody, but I just have to fill in the chart. Okay? Each day this week is questions directly from your quiz that you're going to see on Friday. These questions are the harder versions of the quiz that you're going to see on Friday. So if you can understand the quizette, the quiz is going to be a cakewalk on Friday. I did this on purpose. I want you guys to do the hard math during the week so that when you guys get the quiz, you dominate. You absolutely ace that test without a question. Number 2. Number 2 did not print well for you guys. If you guys look at your quizette, you do not see those gray lines that you see in the video. So I just want you to put this point on your video. So pay very close attention where I put the point. I want you to put the point right here where 1 and 4 meet. And then I also want you to put a point right here where 8 and 2 meet. So when you get to 7th grade, you're going to deal with a little bit more graphs. All right? In 6th grade, you maybe see 1 or 2 pictures. But in 7th grade, this is heavily tested. If you look here, my y value is 8 and my x value is 2. So I would write my ratio 8 to 2. But if I reduce that, what does that equal? 4 over 1 or just 4. So if you're reading the graph, that means 4 pounds per plate. Because I have pounds over here and I have plates right here. So 4 pounds per plate. You can also look here. You can find the unit rate by just looking at 1. 1 plate is 4 pounds because that's where it intersects with the line. So you could also write that ratio. So let's write that ratio in red now. So that little point is 4/1. And what does that mean? 4 pounds for 1 plate. So now let's look at the question. It says there is a proportional relationship between the number of plates Layla makes, the number of plates is X, and the amount of clay that she uses is Y, which we know that Y is on this axis and we know that X is on this axis. So it says, what is a constant proportionality? Write your answer as a whole number or as a decimal. So constant proportionality, if you guys remember, that just means unit rate. And unit rate is like the price for one, or how many pounds in this case is in 1 plate. And if you look at our first diagram, I'm going to point to it right here with my lightsaber. It takes 4 pounds for 1 plate. So how many pounds per plate? 4 pounds. And then if it asks you for every 2 plates, obviously if you're doubling the amount of plates, so you're doubling the amount on the pounds. And if you double 4, you're going to be at 8. If you double 1, you're going to be at 2. So for 2 plates, it's 8 pounds. And now you can predict, for 3 plates, it's probably going to be somewhere around 12, but 12 is off our graph and we can't see it. So that's the whole point of this graph, is to help you find your answers quickly just by looking at the pattern and by looking at the x-axis and the y-axis. Here you just have to find where 1 intersects. So 1 is here, 1 plate, 4 pounds. So there you would write 4 pounds. And then one step further is you're going to have to write an equation eventually. So I'm just going to get you a little ahead. In 6th grade, you have a formula that's called y equals mx. And when you find the unit rate, you plug it in for m. So that's where unit rate goes. So we found the unit rate, which is 4:1, 4 pounds for 1 plate. So I would write y equals 4x. And this would be my equation. It looks all fancy, and all you did was plug in a number. So when we grade this Quizette, I'm going to give you a check for the equation, and I'm going to give you a check for 4 pounds per plate. That doesn't mean that you have to do that every single day, but it would really help you to write the equation every single day. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but every day you guys have word problems, and the word problems involve different things. One of my very sharp students pointed out that number 1 on Tuesday is the same as number 3 on Tuesday. So you can cross out number 3 on Tuesday and only do number 1. I sometimes forget that I copied one like in one section and forget to change it in the other. All right, back to Monday number 3. It says on a certain map, 2.5 inches represents 15 miles. So let's say on a map, let's say we're going to draw a picture. So we have a map. And in this map, 2.5 inches, let's say this is 2.5 inches, represents 15 miles in real life. So 2.5 inches represents 15 miles in real life. Bay City and Greenwood are 4 inches apart on the map. What is the actual distance between Bay City and Greenwood? So if we had 4 inches to account for, how many miles would it be in real life? So these numbers are kind of crazy, right? So we have a decimal and then we have whole numbers. So let's think. 2.5 inches, if you divide that by 2.5, you get 1 inch, right? If I divide 15 by 2.5, that's going to tell me my unit rate. That's going to tell me how many miles I go in 1 inch of the map. So on the side, I'm going to do 15 divided by 2.5. I'm going to shift the decimal 1 space. You know what? It looks like we're running out of room up there, and I'm sorry. So I'll do it down here. 2.5 divided into 15. That decimal, I'm going to move it 1 space to the right. And then this 15, I'm going to move it 1 space to the right. And when I have an empty hole, I put a 0. 25 doesn't fit into 15, but 25 fits into 150. Just think of quarters. How many quarters are in 150? And that's 6. 6 times 25 is 150. So that this number represents 6 miles per inch. And then if I have 4 inches, I multiply it by 4. What's 6 times 4? 24 miles. So in the actual the actual distance between Bay City and Greenwood is 24 miles. So I would say the first step with word problems is to figure out what it wants and put step 1, find unit rate. And then the second step is to use unit rate, UR, to solve the problem. So step 1, find the unit rate. Step 2, use the unit rate to solve the problem. All right, good luck on your Quizette.